This is an iHeart podcast. Guaranteed human.
This is Tamara Judge from Two Teas in a Pod with Teddy Mellencamp and Tamara Judge. Can we take a moment to talk about Chewy? I get everything for rugby from Chewy. His food, the treats, I'm constantly reordering, the toys he destroys in minutes, even his supplements. And it always shows up fast. Chewy also handles the serious stuff, prescriptions, pet insurance, telehealth vet visits, and they're even rolling out vet clinics across the country. Their 24/7 customer service actually understands dog moms like me and cat moms, bird moms, reptile moms, all of us. And with Chewy's 1-year satisfaction guarantee, trying something new is never stressful. For life with pets, the answer is Chewy. Save $20 on your first order with free shipping at chewpanions.chewy.com/teapod.
Joy is essential and it's also elusive. But now there's a new and exciting way to start your journey toward a more joyful existence. Joy 101. It's a new podcast hosted by me, Hoda Kotb. If you're craving inspiration, support, and useful tools to maximize your joy, tune into these candid, uplifting, and moving on-air chats. Listen to Joy 101 on the iHeartRadio app, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts.
Welcome to Stuff You Should Know, a production of iHeartRadio.
Hey, and welcome to the podcast. I'm Josh, and there's Chuck, and we're just a couple of dudes yakking it up about packaging waste, because this is stuff you should know. Let's go.
Yeah. It's always fun, even after all these years, to just sort of not know what's going to come out of your mouth at the beginning of an episode.
Same here.
Like as yourself?
Yeah.
I think this is a nice little addendum, or not addendum, but just in the same bucket as our recent bottled water episode.
And we did one on littering, and the ultra-processed foods episode all touched on this too.
Yeah, and also, of course, recycling and landfills. And I love at the end of our whole career, we're going to have these lovely buckets of content, and this is one I'm most proud of, our sort of environmental bucket.
Yeah, it's good stuff. What about our civics lessons bucket?
Sure, those are great. Like how to do a will and stuff like that?
No. Like why gerrymandering is horrible.
Sure. Yeah, those are great too.
Yeah, but these recycling ones are great.
And true crime? Oh, forget about it.
Because we're basically a true crime podcast.
Who doesn't love that?
So we're talking today about packaging waste. And if you are alive today in 2022, or the future, if you're listening to this in the future, hello, future, you are probably pretty well aware that we have a lot of packaging. We use a lot of packaging to put stuff in. Like I remember buying a bottle of Crown Royal years and years ago at the liquor store, and they put it in a paper bag.
Yeah, when you thought it was the fanciest liquor.
Totally. And you would leave with the paper bag and take it home, and you would pull the box of Crown Royal out of the paper bag. You'd pull the velvet bag that the Crown Royal was in out of the box, and then you'd pull the bottle out of the velvet bag. And then finally, after you unscrewed the cap, you could get to what you were after all along, which was the delicious Crown Royal.
Right. And you would put your bag of weed in the velvet bag and you would go to the Motley Crue concert.
That's right. With your little 90s bowl, the little brass bowl.
That's right. And hey, this is not to disparage Crown Royal because they have been friendly enough to send us their delicious rye.
Over and over again. They really took care of us. Remember, they gave us those bags that were monogrammed.
That's right.
So, not anything to disparage on Crown Royal, but it always struck me even back then, like, this is a lot of packaging, and how necessary is this? And we finally reached the point where the rest of society is caught up to me and are asking these questions now. And the answer that we seem to be coming up with is a lot of this stuff is totally unnecessary. And the stuff that is necessary, we have to learn to make better and reuse better because we are awash in garbage. And here in America, it's kind of tough to see unless you drive past the landfill because we don't litter like we used to. But what we do is we dump our stuff either in landfills or else we export it to other less developed countries to use them as our landfills, which is really morally uncool, you know?
Oh, absolutely. And it's funny, I just noticed the other day, the very popular Binax Now at-home COVID tests. COVID came through our house again. We all got it, everybody. We're all great. We're all fine.
Good.
But PSA, it's still out there. Be careful. But long and short of it is we were taking a lot of these tests over the course of 2 weeks, and they are smaller now. I had to order some more, and they are now, I don't know if you've used these, they're not in that giant long box. And I thought, oh, is there only one in there now? And no, they just didn't need that big box. It's like the old CD long box.
I was going to say the same thing.
Yeah, and they came in the mail. I was like, oh, well, good. This thing is probably not half the size, but probably close to it, because there was no reason for those 2 COVID tests just to be flopping around with all that real estate.
Yeah.
So good for them.
Yeah, good for you, Binax. Did you get them in the mail because Joe Biden sent them to you?
Joe Biden? I did send off for the free one from the government, but I also had to, we just keep a stock in the house because we like to just make sure we're keeping everyone safe.
Definitely. And you have a bowl full of condoms by your front door, too.
Exactly. Except ours is like give a penny, take a penny. You take a condom, you got to leave a condom of equal or lesser size.
What did they say?
What am I doing?
They used to call them like Coney Island whitefishes, remember?
Oh, that's right. Used
Man,
condoms
that's grody.
in New York. Yeah. Oh, God.
Man, you need to clean that bowl out, Chuck.
Oh, can we talk about packaging waste?
Yes, let's talk about this. Because get this, in the United States, 28% of municipal solid waste, that's everything. That includes old washing machines, for Pete's sake. 28% of municipal solid waste is packaging, containers, stuff that the stuff we're actually buying comes in or is shipped in or is transported to the store in. 28%. Right? So if we can do something about that, if we can reduce the amount of packaging or make the packaging we use more recyclable, that would have an enormous impact on our landfill footprint just out of the gate.
Right. And we do a decent, I don't even know, decent is such a term that it's all over the place according to who you are, so I don't even want to use it. But we have put a dent in this packaging waste with our recycling, at least, compared to the past. Maybe that's the safest way to say it.
Yeah, we've definitely gotten better.
Because in 1960, about 1/10 of packaging waste was recycled. 2018 was the most recent year we have. We're up to 54% of packaging waste being recycled. But that still means that there, let me see here, plastic, 10 million, what is this, tons?
Yes.
10 million tons of plastic still end up in the landfills.
Out of 15 million total.
Yeah, 7 million out of 12 million of wood. Aluminum, you would think that's the easiest thing to recycle. Everyone throws their aluminum cans in recycling, right? Not true. About half, 1 million aluminum cans end up in landfills with 2 million total.
That's unconscionable.
Yeah.
Aluminum is, I've seen it described as infinitely recyclable. You can just keep making the same aluminum can over and over again if you'll just recycle it rather than divert it to the landfill. That's pretty bad. 2 million or 1 million landfill out of 2 million. On the other end, cardboard, we're really, really good at recycling cardboard. People recycle it. It's also easy to recycle, so it gets recycled. Out of 42 million tons of paper and cardboard that was generated for packaging alone, just packaging, everybody. I'm not including construction paper from elementary schools. None of that. This is all just packaging. In 2018, in the U.S. alone, out of 42 million, only 5 million of that, 5 million tons ended up in the landfill. So that's really, really good. So cardboard's not the problem as far as like packaging and shipping and all of that stuff goes, because a lot of it, most of it gets recycled. The big problem isn't even aluminum cans. The problem, Chuck, is plastic.
Yeah. Plastic's a big problem. And a lot of this, again, overlaps with our bottled water ep. And we'll talk about plastic all throughout this episode.
Yeah, and when you think plastic, that's usually, especially when you're talking about plastic packaging waste.
Yeah.
You think bottled waters or something like that, or water bottles. But it can be any kind of single-use plastic where it can be like a Dorito wrapper. That's made of plastic. Styrofoam packing peanuts. That's a kind of plastic too. It's a polystyrene. Plastic shows up in all sorts of other ways in other places, especially with packaging. And the other thing that you have to remember is this. Think about how light plastic is, okay?
It's light.
10 million tons of plastic.
Yeah.
That is so much plastic in real terms, in real life terms, out there in landfills or in the environment, even worse, that we're throwing away every year, every single year.
Yeah, it's really unnerving when you get a product that is shrink wrapped in plastic that doesn't need to be. It's, you know?
Yeah, I blame the Tylenol poisoner for that.
Yeah, but really?
Remember, they were the ones who triggered tamper-proof packaging and like putting everything in like shrink wrap and stuff.
Yeah, but as a tape measure, is going to be tampered with? You know what I'm saying?
But I think that that's an extension of that impulse that was originally created by the Tylenol poisoner. That tamper-proof packaging got extended to everything.
Yeah, I guess so. And I know some of it is to protect the thing. But like, let's say you go out and get like a screwdriver set.
Sure.
They're not going to sell you 8 screwdrivers in a little like vinyl bag. Like they sell you 8 screwdrivers in one of those huge square, you know, molded plastic things that are impossible to open. Mm-hmm. So they're annoying, but it's just, it just drives me crazy.
Have you tried practicing opening them?
Well,
Before you need the screwdriver?
Sure, you got to get a carpet knife.
What brand do you use?
Carpet knife?
No, but I mean your screwdriver. When you're buying that big box of screwdrivers, what brand are you buying?
I feel like I'm being set up for something that I don't understand, so I'm just going to go ahead and say Craftsman?
Okay, no, that's right. It was a rhetorical question. There's no wrong answer, but I don't have a problem opening and closing the plastic box with DeWalt brand tools.
Well, I got a lot of DeWalt stuff. I love DeWalt.
I do too.
In fact, most of my major power tools are DeWalt. But you know, I'm just remembering. I shouldn't have said screwdrivers. I should have said like wrenches, because the wrenches I bought, the wrench set came like that. Mm-hmm. I actually found a screwdriver set where it had 12 screwdrivers in, and it was plastic, but it was in one little plastic screw lid container.
Nice.
And it seemed a lot better than the other alternative, at least.
Yeah, the next best step after that is there's just some dude who hangs out at the store that carries them home in his arms and dumps them onto your floor and then leaves. Like that kind of packaging.
Yeah, he opens his overcoat and they're all the screwdrivers are hanging there.
That's right. You just take your pick.
Let's talk a little bit about the history before we break, I think, because I always think of Emily's grandparents, Charlie, who has left us, and then Mary, who is still chugging along at 101 years old, believe it or not. They didn't have garbage collection for almost their entire lives in rural Ohio. Mm-hmm. They didn't want to pay for it, and they didn't need it because they reused, recycled, and when I say reused, they really reused. They composted. They did all the old things because they're that old school Depression era generation, to where you appreciate things like that and you don't want to waste. And that's the way that used to just be the norm. People would buy and ship things in barrels and wooden boxes, and they would reuse those, and glass bottles that they would reuse. They would wrap up cheese and meats and things in cloth forever that you would reuse. And then eventually like butcher paper. And that was just, they didn't even have regular garbage pickup until about the mid 1800s here. Right.
Because again, they didn't need it. I mean, yeah, somebody sent you something in a wooden crate, you'd build an addition on your house.
Right. Exactly.
It was like that. Like they would use glass bottles, and then if the glass bottle broke, they would fix it. And I was like, how would they fix it? And apparently there's something called water glass. Uh-huh. It's sodium silicate, and it's a spreadable kind of glass where if you heat it up, it basically fills in all the cracks and it's good as new.
I wonder if that's how they do, should ask Emily's dad, the window chips.
Oh, I wonder too.
Emily used to do that for a little while because her dad has Cineco glass if you're near Akron, Ohio.
Nice.
That's the place to get your windows replaced.
Sure.
But Emily did that for a summer. She fixed glass chips.
Yeah, you should definitely ask her that.
Yeah.
So we didn't have garbage pickup because we didn't need it because everybody was reusing stuff. Food waste, like you said, they were composting it, or they would just throw it out for the livestock, the hogs, the chickens, whatever. They would eat the whatever food waste. And I would guess that they had much less food waste than we have today. But again, there wasn't much need for garbage collection. That's not to say there wasn't garbage. I saw in the 18th century in New York, they built a pier in the East River purpose-built to dump garbage into the East River.
That's
from.
the downside.
Not like they weren't doing it, but it was just so minuscule compared to the amount of waste that we generate today that it is essentially negligible.
Yeah, absolutely. 1856 is kind of a fun little fact to keep in your pocket. Corrugated paper, what would become corrugated cardboard, was invented in 1856 in England because of those big tall hats to keep those things stiff. Mm-hmm. Pretty cool.
I think so too.
But then it became a thing.
Well, yeah, those slowly started replacing the wooden crates, right, for shipping, so you couldn't build an addition on your house anymore.
That's right.
But it was a lot lighter. It was a lot easier. It used up a lot less coal on the ship to move across the sea. It was kind of a step up for sure. And then Nabisco was the first one to start selling single-serve individual packaged foods.
Boo.
All the way back in 1890.
Yeah.
And it makes sense, in one way. But if you, start caring about the environment, it makes like zero sense whatsoever. But they were the ones who kicked all that off.
Yeah, I found that kids, and I remember this about myself, are very into those things. I think just because they're small. Like, I remember being obsessed with the kids who could afford the little individual Pringles. Not the ones they sell in the store now, but they used to sell these little plastic peel-away top Pringle servings.
Oh, yeah.
And the kids in school that had those, I was so jealous of.
The rich kids.
The rich kids.
Yeah.
I had my Charles Chips tin.
Right.
And my Tupperware.
Make a basket out of your shirt and carry it around school till lunch.
But Kellogg's, you mentioned, or maybe you didn't, but they were the first cereal box, obviously, in 1906. And then beer cans were steel originally. They started in 1936. Thank you, Coors. Then they switched to aluminum in 59. But, and this is very cool when you go look at an old, like, I think Smokey and the Bandit even had these where you had to use a can opener to open a beer back in the day.
Yeah.
Very cool.
Yeah.
They should bring that back.
The pull tab's better because you have to keep a can opener on you,
Well, and the pull tabs, even though they were bad for the environment, you could make an emergency phone call at a telephone booth if you were Matthew Broderick.
Oh, really? You could use that as a fake coin, a slug?
No, in war games, Matthew Broderick knew this trick where he unscrewed the receiver where you talk into it, and then, like, I don't think it's true at all. I think they literally just made this up for the movie and used a pull tab to make an electric connection and, like, kind of hot wire the phone to give it a dial tone. I'm sure it was not true.
I gotcha.
But used to see those all over the place, the pull tabs all over the place on the ground.
Yeah, I was up in my attic the other day, and there was an old pull tab, old Milwaukee can.
It's funny.
Like, how old is this?
Yeah, it's funny when you find those these days.
Well, now I know it doesn't go back any earlier than 1963.
That's right.
So, like we said, they were using dumps in horrible places. Like they would use wetlands back in the day to dump trash in. Apparently, Boston's Back Bay was a wetland that was originally a garbage dump. And if you've ever been to Back Bay, that's fairly ironic because it's one of the more well-heeled parts of Boston today. They've built up a real shishi area that has like an anthropology and everything on it.
Yeah, and we should do an entire episode, I think, on fresh kills. That is basically what Staten Island used to be almost entirely. Well, that's not true. But it was a 2,200-acre landfill on Staten Island after World War II, 1948. And it's such a rabbit hole. I started looking into fresh kills and I had to stop. And I was like, we just need to make this an episode because it was a remarkably large, it was the largest one in the world, largest landfill. And they're reclaiming it. And it's by 2038. It's going to be finished as a park. Fresh Kills Park.
I've seen some of the artist's rendering of it. It's going to look really neat. Very peaceful.
Yeah, it would be a good episode, though. I think it's interesting history.
Okay, deal. So those dumps that we started to generate, like every city starting in the 20th century, really started to need more and more dumps and more space for landfills. And it grew because our single-use packaging grew.
Mm-hmm.
We just started throwing stuff away. And in our littering episode, I think we specifically said that the plastic garbage bag people basically got together and said, we need to teach everybody to start throwing things away. They keep reusing this plastic stuff. So they basically created a public information campaign to teach everybody to throw stuff in the trash and to take their trash out to the garbage can every night and to do this every single day. They taught America to throw stuff away, which is just so villainous. But that really kind of was the beginning, around the middle of the last century, of our obsession with single-use packaging, basically.
Yeah, I think that Glad bag first came around the late 60s. And then in the just before that, in the mid 60s, the grocery bag, the little light groceries bag that has been such a problem in the world, that came around in 65. But if you don't remember those when you were like our age and you were a kid in the 70s and 80s, it's because people still generally used paper sacks. They were really slow to catch on, those plastic bags. But eventually in 1985, there was a conference of the Society of Plastic Engineers, and someone stood up on a stage and said, hey, these things are $24 per thousand. Paper bags are $30 per thousand. And that changed everything. $6. Yeah.
Yeah, they were really working at the Plastic Grocery Sack Council. That was a thing. In 1986, they got their hands on the LA Times and said, hey, make sure you tell everybody that we've concluded plastic bags can be reused in more than 17 different ways. They said it can be used as a wrap for frozen foods, a jogger's windbreaker, or a beach bag. And then I'm going to go on. I'll bet the other, 14 are like, and a library bag, and a school bag, and a school lunch bag, and a work lunch bag.
Right. You can sacrifice a child with them.
Right. Well, actually, yeah, that was the thing. They had to teach Americans these things are really dangerous.
Yeah,
and there's
don't
a famous
put it over your
photo.
head.
Right. There's a famous photo of a plastics researcher with I think a dry cleaning bag over his head trying to take a breath, and it really got the point across for sure.
Also, though, not from the very beginning, but once they caught on in the mid 80s, people did start kind of rallying against them in a lot of cases. There was a 500,000 member group called the General Federation of Women's Clubs, who in 86 said, no, these things are clearly not going to be good for the environment, so let's not use them. And that was 86, a long time ago.
It was, and they got absolutely nowhere because I saw about a decade ago, they estimated that between 500 billion and 1.5 trillion plastic bags are consumed globally each year at a rate of more than 1 million a minute.
Wow.
So they got nowhere. But there have been some successes. McDonald's was the first actually to pioneer single-use packaging for food. And that meant that they didn't have to have dishwashers at their restaurants. They didn't have to have waiters to clear away plates. And within, I think, 40 years, they finally were like, okay, we'll give up our foam packaging, which, I mean, there are a few things more nostalgic for me than looking at pictures of the old colored, like, foam packaging that McDonald's used to use.
That blue. It's McDonald's foam packaging blue. There's no other way to describe it.
Definitely. But the McDLT was the breaking point for everybody. They're like, this is too much. You got
hot side hot, cool side cool.
That's right. So that was the end of that. But we still have a plastic problem.
All right. So let's take a break. We'll come back and we'll talk about Amazon right after this.
This is Tamara Judge from Two Teas in a Pod with Teddy Mellencamp and Tamara Judge. Tamara here. As you know, my dog Rugby is like one of my kids, and I don't play around when it comes to taking care of him. Chewy is where I get everything he needs. He loves food, so always stocking up on treats and toys from Chewy, which my husband Eddie likes to buy for him. It always shows up fast, which is exactly how I like things. Chewy also handles the serious stuff, prescriptions, pet insurance, and the telehealth vet visits. And now they're opening up vet clinics across the country. And their 24/7 customer service, they just understand pet people. Plus, with Chewy's 1-year satisfaction guarantee, trying new things is never stressful. Chewy just makes caring for Rugby easier, and that matters to me. For life with pets, the answer is Chewy. Save $20 on your first order with free shipping at chewpanions.chewy.com/teapot.
Joy is essential, and it's also elusive. You can't order it, you can't borrow it, or simply hope it into life. But now, there's a new and exciting way to start your journey toward a more joyful existence. Joy 101. It's a new podcast hosted by me, Hoda Kotb. Together, guys, we'll have meaningful conversations with the world's most fascinating people. Entertainment legends, sports icons, wellness experts, and everyday people will share how they find, allow, and experience joy. And I'll offer some of my own tips and takes on seeking a more balanced and harmonious life. If you're craving inspiration, support, and useful tools to maximize your joy, tune into these candid, uplifting, and moving on-air chats. Joy after a breakup, joy as an empty nester, joy after a loss, joy as a caretaker. This new podcast will speak to you. Listen to Joy 101 on the iHeartRadio app, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts.
Mainstream media is full of cruel depictions of the unhoused, stories that shame and blame and paint the unhoused as a monolith. We the Unhoused is the podcast that's changing that. I'm Theo Henderson, creator and host, and for years I've created a space where the unhoused and their advocates can tell their own stories. In the last few months alone, I've interviewed unhoused parents, immigrants, mutual aid organizers, veterans, the LGBTQIA+ community, and the policymakers who make the laws that impact the unhoused existence. We the Unhoused is a 2-time Webby and Signal Award-winning show with many exciting guests on the horizon. Tune in this week for my interview with Dr. Jill Wicherick, a street doctor turned influencer whose work with the unhoused community has made a huge impact online and in her community. Listen to We the Unhoused on the iHeartRadio app, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts.
Keith Giamanco seemed like a mild-mannered suburban dad, but secretly, he became someone else, a master of disguise who went on a crime spree. At the time, did it seem like a crazy idea?
It seemed very crazy, but I felt so desperate that I felt it was the quickest, easiest way out.
Did you allow yourself to think about how it could go wrong and what that might look like?
No. I didn't want to manifest that. I was trying to manifest success.
Every family has its secrets. But what happens when you discover that your dad has been living a double life?
That is not the look of an innocent man. This is going to change my life and my family dynamic forever, because everything that had existed prior in my reality is now untrue.
Listen to Deep Cover The Family Man on the iHeartRadio app, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts.
This episode's sponsored by Amazon.
Well, we got to talk about it because especially, I mean, Amazon has been shipping things for a long time, but especially I think when COVID took over, people really started getting a lot of things delivered that they used to routinely go to stores for. Mm-hmm. And they have changed the way packaging works in the world, and especially the United States. There was a report by a group called Oceana that found that worldwide, Amazon generated almost 600 million pounds of plastic packaging waste in 2020, and that almost 24 million pounds of that ended up in waterways and oceans. And Amazon said, "Oh, that's a miscalculation."
Right. They didn't show their math. But so that's just waterways and oceans. That's not landfill stuff. And there's a significant amount of what's called plastic film used to make those puffy air pillows that they use instead of styrofoam peanuts, which in a lot of ways are are much preferable to styrofoam peanuts, but there's way better alternatives to even those shipping pillows too. Because it's made of plastic film, which is the same type of plastic that those plastic grocery bags are made from. And they're really hard to recycle. It takes a special facility. So if you ever get those plastic pillow like shippers in the mail from Amazon, and you have your plastic grocery bags from Publix or whatever grocery store you go to, and you save those and you take them to your grocery store and put them in the plastic bag recycling thing, they will actually go take them and recycle them and turn them into useful things like composite decking for your house or something like that.
That's a good tip.
So it is, but just don't just throw it away, and also don't use them to hold your recyclables and put them in your recycling container, because that whole bag of recyclables will get thrown out because those things will screw up the normal recycling process so badly.
Another good tip. I got another good tip for you. Here in Atlanta, we have a place called Charm, the Center for Hard to Recycle Materials, and Charm is one of our favorite places to go to because you pull into Charm and there are all these people in this huge parking lot and all these various stations to help you recycle anything you can think of. It can be your shredded documents. It can be car batteries. It can be paint cans. It can be your old computer desktop. They recycle almost anything you can think of. And I guarantee you, there are places in every major city and probably even a lot of smaller towns that have a Charm-like place. And all you got to do is just save that stuff, throw it in your car, take it over there, and they'll take care of it for you.
Yes.
It's great.
So, like, Amazon's easy to pick on because they're shipping so much stuff. They use up so much material for shipping and packaging and cushioning and all of that. But they're also easy to pick on because if you look at what they're doing in other countries, it shows like they could totally revise stuff. Whenever they're forced to, they find innovative ways to replace that stuff with more sustainable packaging. Yeah,
they don't just say, like India says, hey, you can't use this kind of tape anymore and these kinds of packing peanuts. They don't say, oh, well, I guess we're not going to ship to India anymore.
Right.
They figure it out and they just don't implement those policies across the entire company, which is maddening.
Yeah, which we'll see. India has really taken maybe the world's leadership stance on single-use plastics and dealing with it as a country. Germany's following suit, so Amazon's saying, okay, well, we'll start doing the same thing in Germany. But rather than just being like, okay, it makes sense for us to just do it for every country, if they're not making money doing that in other countries, they're going to hold out until they're legally forced to,
right?
Or until enough countries require them to, that's just what they use across the board, because then it is cheaper than making two different kinds depending on where they're shipping to.
Right. Those meal kit services that everyone loves so much, this is a bit of a mixed bag because on the surface, you look at their packaging and the fact that some of these boxes have up to 24 individual packages of things. And then you're talking about the packaging, the big box that it comes in and the smaller foam box to insulate it. And then these ice packs that a lot of times have chemicals that are very hard to recycle. But I did some digging in and there are a lot of companies doing a lot better job. One thing that they do tout, which I think is true, is that they really reduce a lot of food waste. And so what you want to do is look at the entire environmental footprint of an operation versus just buying groceries at a grocery store. And it kind of comes out even in some cases. Some companies are better than others. I did see that Blue Apron has about 85% recyclable packaging and drain safe ice packs that you can just drain yourself and then recycle that package. So some are better than others, but if you care about that kind of thing and you like meal kits, I would encourage you to investigate the services that speak to you environmentally.
Yeah, one 2019 study found that Blue Apron specifically had 33% less emissions from the same meal that you would buy at a grocery store.
Yeah, and they haven't sponsored us in a long time, so.
No.
This is not payola.
Right. So there's actually a pretty big widespread push to innovate new packaging materials that are easier to recycle, that are made from more recycled materials, that are made from sustainable materials, that are easily composted. And there's, some competitors are better than others. Some are already proving themselves as probably not the way we want to go, but some other ones are like, wow, it's a really good idea and we should figure it out.
Yeah, we talked about corn and quite a bit in the bottled water ep because they can take corn. They can make it into a plastic. It's called PLA, polylactic acid, right?
Sure.
And it's a plastic resin. It is not petroleum based. It can be composted, but, and I think we said this in the bottled water one too, it's not compostable as in like, great, I'll just buy corn bottles and throw them in my compost bin. Mm-hmm. You can't do that in your backyard. It's got to be like industrial composting, which is still good, but you have to take it to a industrial composting facility or be involved in a program that will do that for you, because there are those out there too.
Yeah. And then anything made with corn. They also have corn-based packing peanuts, which really they should figure out how to make them from peanuts, don't you think, just to make it fully appropriate?
Or just put in popcorn.
So those
that's spongy, and then everyone could just have a snack.
You could eat it.
Yeah.
You'd be like, this popcorn's not very good, but it's sustainable.
I'll reuse it.
The problem is anything you're making from corn, whether it's plastic or those packing peanuts, is you're growing corn and you're diverting it from the food system to other purposes. And I remember we were all about ethanol back in the day, corn-based ethanol, and it just, for the same reason, it didn't pan out, because we should be using food cropland for growing food, not for growing plastic.
Right. Mushrooms is a really interesting alternative. Mycelium-based packaging. It's been around for a little bit, since about the mid-2000s. And it seems like there's almost nothing mushrooms can't do and fungi except get me to eat them. But there's a really cool documentary about mushrooms that Emily and I are going to watch soon that a couple of friends have told us about. It's sort of a wonder, not product, but species.
Yeah.
Food?
No.
Thing?
I think it's a kingdom.
Okay. A wonder kingdom. That's even better.
Yeah, it totally is. I like that a lot. I could see that on a cape.
But they have found that they can use it as an alternative to styrofoam and even other plastics is for like cushioning things.
Yeah, and what's cool is you can grow fungi sustainably on like agricultural refuse, right? That's being composted. You could grow your fungi into exactly the shape that you want.
That's amazing.
Yeah, like our friend Addison Rex, who runs Wine Spies, when you get a box from him, have you ever noticed, like, how is this cushioning exactly the right size for this large bottle, and then next to it is this small bottle? And I'm not quite sure, but it's possible it's mycelium packaging material, and you can grow it like that. The only thing that I saw that would be problematic, it seems like at this point, is scalability and then lead time to produce, because I saw it can take like 7 days to grow a container.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
I'll have to ask Addison. I owe him a phone call.
I tried to ask him, and he hasn't texted me back yet. That's what I said.
Forget that phone call.
That's right. Thank you for sticking up for me, Chip.
Algae is another interesting alternative. There was a contest just this year that offered over $1 million for developing plastic alternatives, and 5 of the 8 finalists were algae or seaweed based.
Yeah, by the way, that contest was created by Tom Ford.
The fashion designer?
Yeah.
Really?
I love that guy, man.
Does he make algae clothes?
I guess he's going to from now on.
Interesting.
But it was straight up for, to find an alternative to plastic, but it was a Tom Ford prize. And what'd you say, 5 of the 8 finalists?
Yeah.
Seaweed or algae. And I was looking at one of them. There's a company from Berkeley, I think, called Sway. Mm-hmm. And they basically grow seaweed, so automatically you're not using terrestrial cropland. It's also supposedly really restorative to grow seaweed, like off of the coast, for ecosystems and things like that. And then also, when you grow and make plastic out of algae, it's really easy to biodegrade. And in some cases, you can actually eat it after you're done.
Like my popcorn peanut idea.
Exactly.
And this is remarkable. It depends on how far the algae is broken down. into the chemicals that make it up. But some of them, if they want to engineer this, could even retain some like antimicrobial properties.
Yes.
In the packaging itself. Yeah. All natural.
The future is in fungi and algae.
I feel like wasn't algae or seaweed like a fuel source too? Like
yes.
Yeah.
They have not figured it out yet, but yes, it's some sort of byproduct. You can raise algae that will create some sort of fuel, a biofuel. I don't remember much about it.
Very interesting.
So there's another way to make all this work, and it seems to be figuring out how to make stuff more recyclable, how to make packages more sustainable on a big scale. And a lot of people have concluded that that is not going to happen until countries and states and cities start requiring that be the case from manufacturers. And I say we take a break and then come back and talk about that. How about that?
Let's do it.
This is Tamara Judge from Two Teas in a Pod with Teddy Mellencamp and Tamara Judge. Can we take a moment to talk about Chewy? I get everything for rugby from Chewy. His food, the treats, I'm constantly reordering, the toys he destroys in minutes, even his supplements. And it always shows up fast. Chewy also handles the serious stuff, prescriptions, pet insurance, telehealth vet visits, and they're even rolling out vet clinics across the country. Their 24/7 customer service actually understands dog moms like me and cat moms, bird moms, reptile moms, all of us. And with Chewy's 1-year satisfaction guarantee, trying something new is never stressful. For life with pets, the answer is Chewy. Save $20 on your first order with free shipping at chewpanions.chewy.com/teapod.
Joy is essential, and it's also elusive. You can't order it, you can't borrow it, or simply hope it into life. But now, there's a new and exciting way to start your journey toward a more joyful existence. Joy 101. It's a new podcast hosted by me, Hoda Kotb. Together, guys, we'll have meaningful conversations with the world's most fascinating people. Entertainment legends, sports icons, wellness experts, and everyday people will share how they find, allow, and experience joy. And I'll offer some of my own tips and takes on seeking a more balanced and harmonious life. If you're craving inspiration, support, and useful tools to maximize your joy, tune into these candid, uplifting, and moving on-air chats. Joy after a breakup, joy as an empty nester, joy after a loss, joy as a caretaker. This new podcast will speak to you. Listen to Joy 101 on the iHeartRadio app, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts.
June is Black Music Month, and on the Drink Champs podcast, we're speaking with the hottest names in the culture, like Sway Lee.
Do you realize how legendary you are?
I appreciate that. I be seeing it, but I'm like, man, I still got like so much more to do. Like Prince, he dropped like 30 albums. We dropped like 5 right now. Like, that's the rate we gotta be going.
Yeah, that's a good attitude.
You'll also hear stories from industry legends and hip-hop pioneers like Fab Five Freddy.
I directed one of Nas's early videos.
Which one?
One Love.
Wow.
Yes. I literally filmed in his apartment in Queensbridge.
Wow,
his mom's was still up in that apartment. Nas was just beginning to take off. His pops used to live near me in Harlem. His dad introduced him to a whole lot of, conscious stuff, and he made a young prodigy.
No matter the era, Drink Champs brings you the biggest names and the most unfiltered conversations. Listen to Drink Champs from the Black Effect Podcast Network on the iHeartRadio app, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts.
Keith Giamanco seemed like a mild-mannered suburban dad, but secretly, he became someone else, a master of disguise who went on a crime spree. At the time, did it seem like a crazy idea?
It seemed very crazy, but I felt so desperate that I felt it was the quickest, easiest way out.
Did you allow yourself to think about how it could go wrong and what that might look like?
No, I didn't want to manifest that. I was trying to manifest success.
Every family has its secrets. But what happens when you discover that your dad has been living a double life?
That is not the look of an innocent man. this is going to change my life and my family dynamic forever, because everything that had existed prior in my reality is now untrue.
Listen to Deep Cover The Family Man on the iHeartRadio app, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts.
All right, so you said that there is a better way forward, but as we can tell from the practices of some large-scale shipping companies, unless they are forced to, then they're not going to make those changes because it costs them a little bit of money.
Right.
Obviously, we could talk all day about going back in time and doing things like we used to as far as reusing things. And there are some companies that are doing some cool stuff. I know that there are a couple of like home cleaning product companies where you buy the glass bottle with the spray tops and you mix your own like countertop spray and stuff like toilet spray. And you get these little packets and you keep your glass bottles. And there are companies out there doing things like this, but that is not likely to catch on countrywide because people love just grabbing the thing off the grocery shelf and buying their plastic bottle spray. So that what it takes and what you teased before we broke was it's going to take either people demanding it or more probably the law saying you have to do it.
Yeah, you want to say that just consumers demanding it, like you're saying, would make a change, but there's not enough people doing that, right? So you want to instead turn that ire to your elected officials and say, hey, you need to do something about this. And it's happened in some places. And it's all based on something called the polluter pays principle, which dates all the way back to 1972 and basically says if you're the one who's manufacturing this plastic bag that gets thrown away in a river, it should be up to you to deal with that. Like you should have to factor that into your production costs. And it's not to punish anybody, but it's to do what's called internalizing the negative externalities. So negative externality is, that plastic bag we all pay because of that pollution that breaks down the environment and affects the food chain. That's a negative externality that's not included in the production cost of that plastic bag. And what this kind of polluter pays principle says is we need to figure out how to include that in the cost so that the people who are creating this waste are the ones who are actually paying for it in the end rather than the rest of society.
Right. And that became the basis for what's called extended producer responsibility, EPR, which means you ship something to a person and you don't just go, well, then no, that thing that you package is still your responsibility as a company across the entire life cycle of that product. And when it came in is the manufacturer should be responsible for whatever it is that they're putting out into the world. There's something called the Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development, the OECD, that was established, I think, in 1972.
Right.
And they put out a report that said that 10 OECD governments have some kind of legislation in place for extended producer responsibility. And the U.S. is not one of those, correct?
No, it wasn't. And that was back in 96 that they released that report. So that's pretty impressive. But we actually are familiar with them to some extent. If you've ever taken your paint to a special center,
right,
or your oil, your used car oil, you took it back to like the auto parts store or something like that, you were probably engaging in some sort of extended producer responsibility where the company that made that oil is responsible for making sure that it gets recycled and paying for it to be recycled. That's just because some state or city said that that's the law and they have to do that if they want to do business there.
Yeah.
But what they're trying to figure out with extended producer responsibility laws today is to include all packaging, all shipping material, all of that waste, figuring out how to make that fall into an extended producer responsibility model. And that's proving challenging, like you said, especially in the United States.
Yeah, I think India has a pretty good idea in creating a kind of competition among companies. They require that a percentage of plastic produced by any manufacturer ends up getting recycled. Like it's a requirement. And if you do better and if you overperform, you get credits basically, and you can sell those credits to other companies who are underperforming. So all of a sudden you have this competition going on where a company is manufacturing something and they're really incentivized to, because not only are they getting these credits, but like their competition potentially is having to pay them money because they're underperforming. So that's a really good way to say like, well, get it in gear then, because you're paying your competition to take care of your waste for you.
Yeah. Do you remember those carbon trading schemes from, back in the 2000s that were kind of big?
Like buying carbon offsets?
Yeah, same thing. It was they put a cap on carbon emissions, and companies that didn't emit as much could sell their credits or their whatever to the other companies that did. And yeah, it's a great idea. So it would make sense to make an extended producer responsibility scheme out of that. But that's how wide open it is. Like people are like, however you could figure it out, that's the stage that we're at right now. However you could figure out how to hold people accountable, and we're just not quite there yet.
No, it depends. It's come down to the state level, of course. In 2021, there was a coalition of states. The lawmakers got together. They were known as the EPR for Packaging Network, and I believe, California, Colorado, Hawaii, Maryland, New Hampshire, New York, Oregon, Vermont, and Washington all got together to introduce bills that, basically to give some teeth and legislation to this kind of thing. And I think that Maine passed one, a really big one, that basically it was a fund that manufacturers had to pay into. So based on how much they were, like what kind of packaging they produced, they would pay into this fund, depending on how recyclable it was. And it was like a sliding scale. And that fund was then used to help municipalities manage that packaging material.
Right. And then California saw this and said, hold my kombucha. And they passed definitely the strictest EPR packaging law in the country back in, I think, 2022. Also known as 2022. I don't know why I said it like that. But under this law, by 2032, in 10 years, all packaging in the state has to be either recyclable or compostable. That's a huge leap forward.
Oh, yeah.
Packaging has to be reduced in total by 25%. Great. 65% of all packaging has to be recycled after use. And you might say, well, wait a minute. I mean, like how would the companies make that happen? California said, figure it out. Make it happen. And you, packaging industry, you have to create an organization that basically oversees this and makes sure that industries doing business in California are recycling 65% of their stuff. Even after they sell it to somebody, you have to figure out a way to make sure that the consumer out there who has your Dorito bag in their hand is going to recycle it.
Yeah, here's the problem, though, in America, is half of the country will say, well, yeah, but every single penny of that is going to be passed down to the consumer because the company isn't going to take the hit. So they'll just raise prices on products, and then that'll lead to inflation, and it comes out of our pocket. So we'd rather just throw everything in the trash because I don't even see what happens to it after it leaves my house anyway.
So, I mean, that's a really good point. I don't know if it's actually how it would pan out. You'd think that of course a company would pass along that cost, but I think there's plenty of people out there who are like, I'd pay a little more for something that I knew was going to be recycled.
Right. Like, what's the
that
cost?
I knew was going to.
Is it pennies?
But I don't know. And the thing is when more and more of these laws come about, companies are going to start creating subdivisions in their research and development divisions that are figuring out new packaging that are going to like follow these laws. And then, I mean, if we sick industry on a problem like sustainable packaging and we make it worth their while because they're required to figure this out by law, it's going to get solved pretty quick, I would guess. And then, yes, at first, products probably will be more expensive than they are the pre-passing or enaction of these laws. But after a while, those prices are going to come down because those technologies will have been developed and will have been deployed widely. And they'll be ubiquitous. And now all of a sudden, all of our shipping and packaging material will be able to be composted at home or 100% recyclable, or will just turn into pixie dust in your hands the moment you finish that last Dorito.
Well, we're in a situation, though, where we're so divided politically in this country. We are having a hard time even getting together on something as easily and obviously bad as plastic grocery bags. A lot of states have stepped up and said, you know what, you can't use these anymore. You just can't use plastic grocery bags. Or, you know what, if you want to use one, if you insist, then pay a nickel for it so we can at least take care of the recycling. And then there are a lot of states in this country that pass preemptive bans on the bans. And I looked it up, and it's on ballotpedia.com if you want to look at a list of them all. But there are a lot of states that are like, you know what, we're going to pass a law that says there will never be a law that bans plastic bags. The citizens of the state of North Dakota have a right to use those plastic bags forever.
I wrote an expletive on my printout after that line. It's so maddening. I mean, and these are the same people who are screaming about states' rights, you know? It's just disgusting, dude. A ban on a ban, a preemptive ban on a ban for a municipality is just gross.
Yeah.
Unless, of course, it's, you know, they're preventing discrimination or whatever.
Right.
I guess there's places for it or not. But yeah, I guess when it's something that I agree with and they're banning it, then I got a problem with it. You know what I mean?
With the plastic bags, though, there always is another side of the coin. Like, obviously, plastic grocery bags are pretty bad for the environment. But they did do some studies in California when they did ban these plastic bags, and it did reduce use of those plastic bags, but they did find that people started buying, like a lot of people reuse those things for like dog poop or lining trash bins or whatever. Like there's all like little car trash bins or bathroom trash bins. They all of a sudden had to start buying the thicker plastic bags to do that stuff, which are worse for the environment. So, and then, you know, of course, people would switch to like a cotton tote bag, which is far and away like the worst kind of thing that you can get is a cotton tote, apparently.
So I saw that compared to plastic bags, just because of the sheer number of plastic bags out there and just the fact that they're petroleum based and all the emissions that it takes in creating them, that a cotton tote is still better than plastic bags in general.
Okay.
But if you compare one cotton tote to one plastic bag, yeah, the cotton tote is way worse because there's all sorts of pesticides and industrial fertilizer inputs required. They use forced labor in China, which supplies the world with 25% of its cotton. There's some problems with cotton for sure. And I saw that one study found that a cotton tote would have to be used every day for 54 years to outlive its environmental footprint.
Wow.
So, yeah, there's problems with cotton totes. The idea is there. It's a good idea, but we've also seen like, okay, we need to figure out something else. And there's this designer named Anya Hindmarch, who's just an awesome designer. She uses like rainbow colors and everything. So I like her stuff. She created a cotton tote back in 2007 or 8 and kind of kicked off the trend of using, you know, reusable shopping bags. And it said, like, I am not a plastic bag. Well, since then, since it's become clear that cotton totes are problematic, she's created the same thing, but it's made out of recycled plastic. And it says, I am a plastic bag on it.
That's what you need to seek out.
Yeah, for sure. So, you got anything else?
I got nothing else.
I don't either. And since we talked about Anya Hindmarch, everybody, I think that means it's time for listener mail.
I'm going to call this, shall we take a break? Hey guys, thanks for all the quality, enlightening information, humor, and all the joy the podcast brings me and so many others. Is it time for a break? No, not yet.
Oh,
See,
no,
guys?
I know this email.
That's not that hard, right? I'm not sure what it takes to convince one another to actually defer taking a break, but it's been a fun anticipation game for me for the better part of a year. I almost did that today just to sort of give Tony here a little
hats off,
little thrill, but I didn't. I've listened since 2018, but sometime late last year it dawned on me I couldn't actually recall either of you turning down taking a break when you offer it up to each other. I think we've done that before.
At least once.
Yeah. It's almost always posed as a question, which seems like it's giving your counterpart an option, yet the response is always the same. Not sure if you guys have a pact to never defer, but if you read this out loud, then the beginning part of this email gives me the joy of at least hearing a break question, atypical response. So thank you for that. Take care, keep up the good work. And that is from Tony Coasters.
Nice.
And the closest...
Sounds like a doo-wop band. His middle name is
I saw that coming. The closest you guys have come recently to deferring a break was in the infant formula episode, and you had me on edge. So Tony, just to let you know, we don't have a formula for that per se, but we we generally shoot for about 45 minutes an episode-ish. And that would mean the breaks fall around 15 and 30 minutes.
Yeah.
So we keep an eye on the clock, and there always just seems to be a natural sort of organic spot within that rough time frame.
Yeah. USDA organic spot to break in for sure. We don't have a pact or anything like that either to defer. But also, can you imagine if one of us was like, and we're about to take a break, so we'll be right back. You know? Like the other one, I think, would feel a little bit stepped on.
I think so.
I know I would. I wouldn't want you to feel stepped on either. So, of course, we're going to ask one another, you know?
Yeah, we don't step on each other.
No. And when we do, we edit it out.
That's right.
Well, thanks a lot, Tony and the Coasters. We appreciate that email. It was a good one. A little mind-boggling, too. And if you want to boggle our minds like Tony did, you can send us an email to stuffpodcast@iheartradio.com.
Stuff You Should Know is a production of iHeartRadio. For more podcasts from iHeartRadio, visit the iHeartRadio app, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you listen to your favorite shows.
This is Tamara Judge from Two Teas in a Pod with Teddy Mellencamp and Tamara Judge. Tamara here. As you know, my dog Rugby is like one of my kids, and I don't play around when it comes to taking care of him. Chewy is where I get everything he needs. He loves food, so always stocking up on treats and toys from Chewy, which my husband Eddie likes to buy for him. It always shows up fast, which is exactly how I like things. Chewy also handles the serious stuff, prescriptions, pet insurance, and the telehealth vet visits. And now they're opening up vet clinics across the country. And their 24/7 customer service, they just understand pet people. Plus, with Chewy's 1-year satisfaction guarantee, trying new things is never stressful. Chewy just makes caring for Rugby easier, and that matters to me. For life with pets, the answer is Chewy. Save $20 on your first order with free shipping at chewpanions.chewy.com/teapot.
Joy is essential, and it's also elusive. But now, there's a new and exciting way to start your journey toward a more joyful existence. Joy 101. It's a new podcast hosted by me, Hoda Kotb. If you're craving inspiration, support, and useful tools to maximize your joy, tune into these candid, uplifting, and moving on-air chats. Listen to Joy 101 on the iHeartRadio app, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts.
This is an iHeart podcast. Guaranteed human.